So, general math students, we're going to talk about inflation now. You're probably all familiar with the idea that the prices of things generally go up, so the value of money reduces. $100 today will not be able to buy as much stuff as $100 50 years from now. Probably hear stories from your parents or grandparents perhaps about how much less things used to cost once upon a time. So that's the effect of inflation. Now, the inflation formula, it pretty much is just we use the compound interest formula to do these inflation questions. And we'll have a go at this example here where we've got a surfboard and we're going to, right now it costs $520. We're going to calculate its cost 6 years from now if inflation is at 5% per annum. So they tend to be quite simple versions of the compound interest formula where we don't even have to adjust I and N. So for this one, we're simply going to put that original cost, the $520, as the principal, and we take that rate of inflation, 0.05, because it's 5% converted to a decimal, and then the number of years is our power. So, in 5 years' time, this surfboard is going to cost $696.85. Okay, and that's how they're done. So they're relatively simple most of the time. This one's working back the other way. You might want to pause the video and try this on your own. It's like that one where we rearranged the compound interest formula earlier. Okay, so I'll have a go at it now. So we're saying that the compound interest formula, which is the same as the formula for inflation, looks like this. So when we get the principal on its own, it's going to be like this. Righto, so it can be purchased for $1,200. That's the future cost. It goes where A is. 1 plus 0.06 for 6% per annum. And this is 4 years ago, so our power is 4. So if you put that into the calculator, you should find that the television costs it used to cost $950.51. Now here's a bit of an exception to the whole inflation thing. We know that, in fact, in particular, televisions and electrical goods are getting cheaper as time goes on. But there are, of course, other factors other than inflation that affect the prices of things. Anyway, last example here is about investments in relation to inflation. And these are things you should consider in your future investments. So there are a couple of different ways to go about doing this one. We've got Will here, who's purchased an antique clock for $3,000. He sells it 4 years later for $3,600. So what's his profit? Well, he's made $600. So that might seem good on the surface of things, but is it a good investment given that the purchasing power of money reduces? So that $3,000 for Will, if he was just to leave it lying around, it would really lose value. How much does he need to increase it by to keep up with inflation? That's the question. So one way we could approach this is to see, okay, what rate of return did Will get on his investment? So we could use the compound interest calculator to do this and have all these inputs. I'll write down what we're going to put in and then we'll compare it to, we'll see the strength of Will's investment. Okay, so 4 years, that's our number of periods. We're going to try and find his rate of return, so we don't know that one, the I value. Present value, he paid $3,000 for the clock, so negative $3,000 because it's money out of pocket. No regular payments here or anything. The final value or the future value He sells it for 3,600, and it's only a once or annual compounding here, so we just put ones there for PPY and CPY. Righto. So menu finance, we're going to use our finance solver. Okay, so we've got 4 years. We'll delete that, leave it clear. Okay, present value negative 3,000. And then 3,600. The rest looks ready to go. That's all good. Okay, so the rate of return is 4.66% on that investment. Righto. Now, if we look at the rate of inflation during this time, it's 5.5%. So here, 4.66%. So this indicates that this is a poor investment by Will, because the rate that his his antique clock has increased in value at is 4.66%. That needs to be above inflation to gain value overall, and it's not. So a poor investment. Because the rate of return is lower than the rate of inflation. Okay. So that's something we could write over as we comment on this investment. That rate of return that Will got needs to be bigger than the rate of inflation. Now, the other way you could do this comparison is to say, okay, let's say that Will was investing that $3,000 compounding annually. What would it need to grow to just to keep up with inflation? Oops, that's not what I wanted. So we put the rate of inflation in here, 0.055 for 4 years. So I'm just using the compound interest formula to see what does that $3,000 need to grow to. So 3,000 bracket 1 plus 0.055 to the power of 4. And that would need to grow to $3,716. But Will's only got it to $3,600. So he hasn't kept up with inflation. So there's another way to demonstrate that Will's investment is poor. $3,716 and something, 47 cents. So Will would need to sell the clock for this much to get as much value out of his money and keep up with the rate of inflation. Okay, so go ahead and look at the questions in the description for the video and start working on some inflation questions.